You can create your life with the 16 NLP presuppositions and understanding them. This is part 5. Looking forward to the last 3 presuppositions and discussing them today. Welcome to the Best Years Podcast. This is Dr. Darlene at whatstopsyou.com. Are you a teenager or a young parent, baby boomer, or in your golden years? The best years are now, in each stage of development. So I've got power tools for you today that will help you make amazing changes so you can show up in the world with your amazingness. Let's just start with number 14. You've got the other ones, and hopefully you've been really listening, contemplating, and practicing them in the last weeks, and you're ready for the last 3. And I love how these are categorized. Today, it's more about creating your life, and the presuppositions, of course, are assumptions that we presuppose in life, just like a geologist will always presuppose that gravity will happen and the sun will rise and photosynthesis happens. He has to have some presuppositions and assumptions to move on. And in the study of human behavior, it's the same way. We presuppose the issues that we've talked about in the last podcast and here concluding in part 5. So let's start with number 14, presupposition. And this is what a helper, therapist, coach will presuppose when they meet with a client or when they look at all people. And that is, choice is better than no choice. You think? And I added, there are always at least 5 choices. So choice is better than no choice. Well, duh. Okay. So that means we want to consider there are choices. And so it's interesting that there always are choices. Sometimes we think I have no choice, but I have to do that. Yeah, you do. You have more choices. When I volunteered out at the delinquent centers, secure facilities, I would be doing a workshop with, let's say, 10 huge 18-year-old boy/men, almost men, naughty guys in orange jumpsuits. They were naughty. And they were in there until they were 18 and then released. So these guys were going to be released, but they're in there now. And so I would tell them choice is better than no choice, and they would argue with me. I don't have any choice but that. And I says, all right, come here, Jack. And so I honestly didn't tell him, but I was taking martial arts on the side. And it was actually required to take a certain level of martial arts and a certain training to even work there. So I kind of knew some little basic moves. So I said, come here. And he stands up and he's way big. I'm like, hi, how are you? And I says, okay, let's say we're going to have a fight. Ooh, cool. A fist fight, right? Or you're going to attack me or I'm going to attack you. So let's see, do we have choice in this? Let's talk about what choices I have, because you're going to beat me up. I says, okay, so let's go ahead and you pull a punch to my face. Can you just pretend and do it really super slow? And then I'll just use that like an example. So he goes, I'm supposed to hit you in the face. I go, yeah, but just pretend and do it like I'm hitting you. Okay, so go. So he starts to punch at me. And my point is there's always choices. So I says, my first choice would be run. So I ran. So if you were going to hit me, my first choice would be run. All right, do it again. What other choices do I have? So then he pulls the slow punch and I block him. That's the second choice. Run and block are 2 choices now. Go again. Go ahead and hit me again. So he goes to pull his punch, and the third choice is to, let's see, so run, block, and I dodge it. So I don't run, he pulls it and I go, whoop, and it goes right by me. The next one is he goes to pull that punch. Now I still have more choices. You guys are listening, right? Because there's always at least 2 to 5 choices with everything. The next one, I punched him back before he punched me. That was awesome. I did it softly, but I did it right in his gut so he could feel it. So, yep, that's a choice, isn't it? So we have run, dodge, block, and I'm sure there's other ones. But the one that comes to my mind that was my fave, I says, okay, do you think I have any other choices? Well, let's try this one. So he pulls his punch, and I had just learned this move. Oh my gosh, you guys, this was the most fulfilling moment of my life. As he punched, I grabbed his forearm and then went down to his wrist and jerked him and twisted it up. It's called a bent wrist. And then his arm went behind him, and then he started falling to the ground, and I took his shoulder and pushed it down to the ground. So his arm is behind him in a bent wrist, and I've got a hold of his wrist. And my other hand's on his shoulder down on the floor. And I have full-on control of this really huge young man. And he's going, ow, gosh, yeah. I'm like, okay. All right. And I let go. I go, sorry. And he stands up. Ugh. I go, well, that was kind of cool, wasn't it? He's like, I didn't know you knew how to do that. I'm like, I know, right? You never know. It was like so cool. And so the point is, we always have choices. When I'm being attacked, in martial arts, there's always many multiple ways to put different katas together based on the fight that's occurring right then, and how to maneuver based on all the things that you knew and put them all together in a maneuver to take care of that one. So there's always 5 choices. If someone's going to hit you, your only choice is not to be hit. You might have a situation where you feel like you're a victim in your life. A physical victim of someone perpetrating you. There's domestic violence. There's perpetration from financial. There's all sorts of crimes and things that can occur, and you can feel like a victim and be abused in so many different areas and categories. Yet know that there's always choices within those, many choices more than you know. Consider what's going on in your life and know that you can be flexible and have more choices than you ever thought possible. So as you take a big breath, a lot there. Let's move to the next one. The next one, number 15. We are all responsible for creating our own experience. My daddy used to say, Darlie, we engineer our lives. Do you want to be in the driver's seat of your life, or do you want someone else to drive your life? He used to say that. I was raised hearing that, in knowing I wanted to drive my own life and get in the driver's seat, and I could engineer my life. And I didn't know what that meant exactly as I grew up. I knew that I had choices, and he always talked about free agency, and he says, the most powerful thing on earth. You go, yes, Daddy? And he'd be at the dinner table. The most powerful thing on earth. Yes, Daddy? The most powerful thing is your free agency. Ha! Yeah, it is. We get to choose. And I have a twist for you. I have a twist on what traditional churches teach. At least the one I was raised in is free agency means you do this thing that you were told to do, and you have the free agency to take the consequences if you don't do it right, and the blessings if you do it right. Well, quite frankly, I've shifted that in my head, and that's not what I think that meant in scriptures and God. What I believe free agency is, or free will, is, honey, says dear God to us, you have the free agency, the free will to create your life. And sometimes the consequences are different for 10 different people doing the same deed or not doing the same deed. So it isn't an exactness like you have the free will and it's my rules and my criteria. But that's a whole nother podcast on faith and your religious beliefs and all. So that's a different podcast. So for today, free will, free agency is the power to create your own experience. You get to be an angry person. You get to be mean to people. You get to create people not liking you, because that's usually a result of that. It's just a natural thing, and you get to do it. And God still loves you. And that's, again, another podcast. In my belief, God, higher power, loves me no matter what. And I get to create an engineer. I can be an owner of a company doing the steps that work for that. I get to create being happy. I get to create having lots of children through adoption or natural means. I get to create having no children. I get to create my life. Oh my gosh. I just am emotional right now because that is so true. And people who blame, there's no such thing as blame. Blame is the best way to ruin your life. Whoa. And this goes into ownership, which is, again, another podcast. Can you see why I can do podcasts all day, every single day for the next, decade or 3, as long as I can live? So people who blame, no, don't ever blame. Because you know what? And this is another podcast, but I'm going to kind of do it right now. If someone hits you on the head with a bat and you have a big bump, well, I have a bump because they hit me. And according to science, they hit you and you have a bump. Yep. You do. Now, you can blame them, but does that make your bump better? The answer is it doesn't make your bump better. So now we go into your choices. You have 5 choices because choice is better than no choice. You can blame them. That's one choice, and then get a concussion and bleed out and die. So you can. That's a choice to blame. I'd say don't. So the other choices might be go to the doctor, put ice on it, massage your head, put Neosporin on it, get stitches, and then set boundaries with the other person. So that's 6 or 7 choices, boom, on someone hitting you over the head. Choices above and beyond blame. So you engineer your life. You're responsible for your life. In the last presupposition, and they state it differently, NLP does, and I'm not looking at how it's written through the NLP institution right now, but I kind of tweaked it. So for me, 16 is karma and vibrational energy, and this is part of being responsible for creating our own experience in our lives. Is karma is a real thing, and vibrational energy is a fact, and I think it used to be oogie boogie, and now today, I think most people are really acknowledging that there's frequencies in all emotions, and there's higher frequencies and lower. Fear and shame and guilt and sadness are low vibration, and higher vibrations are gratitude and love, the highest I think we know on this earth, and acceptance is all higher vibrations. So we're creating our own experience through our vibrations, and the karma means the manifestation, where when I put out a vibration, I will get back that same vibration. I promise you. If you have a vibration, you're going to get show up in your life. You're going to have people with the if you have vibration, you're going to attract people with the vibration. If you're vibration, you're going to get showing up. It's the weirdest thing ever. It's so amazing. It's so powerful. So you're going to really watch and really assess what you're putting out, because you're going to get what you put out. If you don't trust people, you're going to have people show up in your life that don't trust and are not trustworthy. If you put out love and acceptance, people are going to show up in your life who are loving and accepting. Oh my gosh, how simple is that one? So your task is to meditate, yeah? To sit down and say, okay, what's up? How am I feeling? When, where, and why? Talk to a type of helper that's going to help and assist you to the next level. Make a session, make an appointment. I had an appointment yesterday with 2 coaches. One was my accountability coach that I hired lately, and the other one was a foot reflexology person that was healing me through my feet and pressure points. So reaching out to that to shift my vibrations, and my gratitude journal every day is something will shift my vibrations so that I can put out and receive what I put out through prayer, gratitude to God, gratitude to the universe, joy of the beautiful flowers and the trees I'm looking at out my window right now. That joy, I'm going to attract joyful people today. It's just math. It's physics. It just is. And how you do it isn't exactly being covered all the way in this podcast. So reach out and discover. I've mentioned a few ways to do it. So raising those vibrations, because you are creating your life and you're responsible for your own experience. Wow. I just love this. And I have had such a good time myself going over these 16 presuppositions. I've done these podcasts all in one day, actually. And as I continue through these presuppositions, I tell you, I'm in a better mood now than I was when I started. And I get the world so much better myself. And I've known these presuppositions for 20 years. I've lived by them. I have them on my wall. I teach by them. But just going over them The podcast has really helped me implement them and actually shift my vibrations. And I really hope that it's done the same for you, that you know you're a very important person and you can go through all of the the presuppositions and really learn from them. You can learn that you can be flexible. You can learn that and understand that you're always communicating and that you have all the resources you need and to change your beliefs because it's not the territory. And anything is achievable if chunked down into small enough pieces. And people are always making the best decisions they can for what they know. And there's no failure. There's only feedback. Everyone's doing the best they can. And behind every behavior with others and yourself is a positive intention underneath it all. So love yourself. No more self-sabotage where your parts are fighting. This part and this part need to go together. And that's the goal in life, is what I teach is no more conflict, that your head, heart, body, mind, and spirit are all one in agreement. We all want to go to that movie. We all want to date or marry that person with my head, heart, body, gut, and spirit. All of me wants to go to bed at this time at night. All of me wants this career instead of part of me. All of me wants to eat this instead of part of me's fighting with myself. Yeah? So overcoming self-sabotage will occur when you understand these presuppositions and implement them. Nothing feels better than peace. Peace is when you are in one piece. P-E-A-C-E of the dove feels beautiful, and the way to accomplish that is to all of your parts, head, heart, body, mind, gut, spirit, all of your emotions being in one P-I-E-C-E, one piece, so that you can have peace. And I bless you with peace today and a high vibration that you can attract what makes you happy, what makes you sing, what makes you soar, and to be your best and highest good. That's all the universe and God wants for you. And that's what I bless you with. Take care, and thanks for listening. We'll talk soon. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to my channel so we can hang out. Also, go to whatstopsyou.com for notes to this podcast, more articles, and more tips so you can indeed live the best years of your life now.